All right. So last week we talked about just some of the things that we want to have with our kids to be courageous parenting. We have to have a connection, awareness, trust, and acceptance, not only in the relationship that we're building with our children, but within ourselves. The team that was together, we talked about the characteristics and life skills that we want for our kids, and everything that we talk about in these workshops for today and the next 3 weeks after is really about helping our kids, our teens develop these life skills, understanding like what the challenges are, right? And these are the challenges that we have with our teen. And then what we also did was the challenges that our teens have. And one of the things that came out of this is that we were able to come up with more challenges that our teens have than challenges that we have with our teens, right? So there's an understanding that our kids are going through a whole lot that we don't necessarily understand. This is just our list of the things that we think our kids are going through. And if we sat down with them, we'd probably find more, right? I developed the workshop so that they can work off of each other or can work individually, but I did want to just share this with you. So you're going to get a breakdown of like what fostering a connection looks like, what increasing awareness, building trust, and finding acceptance. But I want to talk about teen behavior. Okay, so normal teen behavior. All right, there are two teens on here. I swear to God, these are like my two teens. So when you think about normal, quote, normal teen behavior, I have no idea what that is. There's no such thing as normal teen behavior. But I want you to start thinking about like who you are and who your kids are to try and normalize what they're going through. So we always have to kind of look at what we're putting on our children and who they really are, like understanding the world from their perspective. So some normal teen behavior and tasks, like teens need to find out who they are, right? There's this concept of individuation, right? Finding out like who they are on their own, right? And so it usually looks like rebellion to parents, their personal power and their autonomy in different ways. They're still doing exactly what we did way back when. It's a little scarier for us, one, because we're the parent now, right? I don't know, well, I do know because I've spoken to my parents how much I scared them when I was younger and all the craziness that I did. My brother, they were very lucky because my brother was such a good kid and I was not. So between the two of us, we were like, okay, kids, but we were definitely the extremes. So back then, our parents were comparing what they were like and going, we didn't get into this kind of trouble, right? And now we are comparing what we were like and going, we didn't get into this kind of trouble, but the trouble is still the same. They're doing it with the same behavior. It truly is normal behavior, what our kids are doing. So just another one, parents become an embarrassment to their teens. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't embarrass my teens. I'm the cool mom. Such a lie, right? That's only in my head. I completely embarrass them. But I remember my parents embarrassing me and like drop me off down the block. Don't pick me up at school. Like don't say hello to my friends. What about their need for privacy? Like I kicked my parents out of my room. I didn't want them looking over my shoulders, regardless of what I was doing, right? Whether I was on the phone or writing a letter, like whatever, I didn't need them over my shoulders. So while some of the ways that they're doing it have changed, the behavior is exactly what we did. Did you shut your diary when your parents walked into the room? Did you whisper quieter when you were on the phone when your parents were around? I know I did. I hid my diary. I had a diary. It's funny. I just recently found my diary from 35 years ago. It's crazy to read. But I hid all of that. So they still need that autonomy, that privacy, that individuation to grow into the people that we have become, because we really did do the same things. It's scarier for us now. There are more opportunities for kids to get involved in things that we don't understand. But our parents went through that, and their parents went through that, and their parents went through that. And our kids will go through it with their kids, because that's just part of the process of normal teenage behavior. It looks different. It feels different. It's sometimes hard for us to remember and relate. But when I see my kids doing things, I'm like, what was I like? Did I do the same sort of thing? Am I accusing both good and bad? Am I accusing them of doing something that I did do and they're not doing? Or am I thinking that they're not doing something, but they are, right? And then just take a step back and go, this is part of the normal process of working through being a teenager and getting to the other side. We all survived teenage. Go us. And our kids will too, right? We may not survive their teenageness, but our parents did. So I think we're in good hands. I think we'll be fine. How do we connect with our kids when they do nope, wasn't doing anything, right? I say to my daughter all the time, I'm like, when you rush to flip over your phone, I'm automatically going to think that you're doing something wrong. Now, part of that is because that's who I was, and part of it could be because you're doing something wrong. But I also usually follow it up with, I understand that you need your privacy. I just need to understand what's going on in your life. So I want that connection. So I want to talk to you, and I'm going to send this to you, but it's from Positive Discipline and Lynn Lott and her team, of 7 tips of creating a connection with your teen, right? And we talked about some of this before in my Leafs, but tip 1 is getting into your teen's shoes and empathizing with them, right? So if your kid comes and shares something with you, right, instead of brushing them off, and we're going to talk about different parenting styles in a minute. Teens, they want connections with us. They don't always know how to get those connections. And by being curious about their lives helps them open up. If we're always kind of telling them how we would do it, right, then they're just feeling like they're being talked to. But if we're curious about, well, tell me more, that's really interesting. I like that idea. Anything else? I ask my kids, anything else? Those 2 words, anything else? I'm like, how was your day? Oh, I did this and this. Anything else? It just gives them a pause to have to think. And it's oh, mom needs more. Okay, I can tell her what I had for lunch. Oh, cool. That's what you had for lunch. Thanks. Anything else? I'm like, oh, okay, more. Right. So, and I get 3 or 4 more things out of them just by asking anything else. You can ask them what does that mean to you? Right? Just being listening and curious, being in their shoes. Their shoes, like we talked about, their shoes are very different than what our shoes were. Right? There are different languages, there are different words, there's different technology, there's different things that are acceptable these days that we just didn't grow up with. Right? So get curious about what's going on, empathize with them. Another thing, and this is a struggle. This is a struggle for parents, but stop worrying about what others think and do what's best for your teen. But that's a lot of what parents think, right? I'm going to be judged. I can't tell people who would possibly understand this. Nobody. So I'm just going to keep it all to myself, right? And this is where all the pressure kind of comes down on us as parents. Stop worrying about what other people think. We talked about kids on social media. I don't know about the rest of you, but we're always kind of looking at how other parents are judging us, right? I try and get past it. I try and be real. And this is called courageous parenting, because you got to kind of embrace the vulnerability that we all feel. But we all see, prom king, made it into Harvard, made it, I don't, like, my kids don't do sports, so whatever, varsity, that was the word, right? Made it onto the varsity team, straight A, right? So we're all feeling like we're judged. Stop worrying about what other people are thinking and just do what's best for your team. Replace humiliation with encouragement. Positive discipline is huge on don't shame, don't blame, and no pain, right? Don't make your kid feel bad. Encourage them, right? And be really careful about this, because it's really easy to go, I believe that you can do your laundry on your own, even though you haven't before, right? You've taken that words of encouragement is, I believe you can do your laundry, and turned it around into some shame, even though you haven't before, right? So just be encouraging. I have faith in you. I'm going to teach you how to do this, and you'll be able to take on any challenges and mistakes, and then be there for them, right? When they do make mistakes, right? I know you're trying to figure it out. I know it's really important to you. And if you have any questions, teaching them to understand different types of people and different cultures and everything. So we can't expect that our kids are going to know all of these things. We have to educate them and then let them go off and try these things. Mistakes, it sounds weird, but I love mistakes, because they do give us an opportunity to grow. Without them, we're just stagnant. We have to make our mistakes, and we're going to grow from them. And teens have to make mistakes, right? We don't want them to make huge mistakes, but it's really where they're going to learn. And what they learn is that it's okay to make a mistake, and that somebody will be there for you. And that's the role that we play. Make sure that the message of love gets through, right? So we used to pressure our son to get the best grades ever. Okay, he's got dyslexia, he's got ADD, all right? My kids are very different. He is not going to be pulling in the 90s and 100s. He's just not. And we used to pressure him a lot. And then I started realizing that the pressure that we're putting on him isn't good for him. And so we were teaching him that the grades were more important than anything he was bringing to the table. And so we changed our message, right? The grades are not as important. Do the best you can, whatever you got. We love you for it, right? So really changing. There's this old saying that my husband always says, it's not the mouth it comes out of, it's the ears it goes into. So you could be telling your kid that, you love them and get good grades, and they're hearing, I have to get good grades to be loved, or the grades are more important than what my parents think of me. And so when your kid comes in and you're like, how was school today? What'd you get on the test? It's like, okay, are you really asking me how school was, or are you just asking me about my grades? Talk about your kids, right? Make them feel the love. Make them know, let them know that they are the most important thing. The grades, the social media, the fitting in, the groups, the success in art or in music, or my daughter does Taekwondo, whatever, secondary. Their health, the love that you have for them is primary, right? Finding solutions as a group, right? Working with your teens to focus on the solutions. I tell my son all the time, be a problem solver, not a problem maker, right? But he doesn't know how to be a problem solver, or didn't. He's now 17, so he knows a little bit. But so we have to train them. We have to train them to solve problems, right? So how can we work on this together? How can we figure it out together? Let's brainstorm ideas. Good, bad, and different, who cares? Get them used to brainstorming. How many of you brainstorm at your job or brainstorm with your partner, right? Brainstorming is a life skill. I don't know if we put it on, but brainstorming is a life skill. And getting them to think overtly and think about different solutions, this is what we need to teach them. This is what we can teach them, and working together with them to do this, right? And make respectful agreements, right? I have a friend, and I love her dearly, but she, her son's older now, but she would threaten, like, I'm going to take every electronic away from you and ground you for a year. And it was nonsensical. Like he knew he wasn't going to get punished like that. She knew he wasn't going to get punished like that, but that was how she spoke to him. And she was like, he doesn't listen to me. I was like, I love you, but you're not honest with him. You're not respectful. You're not making agreements. You're not talking about consequences that make sense. You're just kind of being super emotional and yelling. And why would he believe you when you're not following through? So make respectful agreements of what is okay and what is not okay, and let them know what the expectations are. Again, we have jobs, we have partners, we have families, we have things that we need to do. We know what the expectations are. And so we're teaching our children to get used to this, because these are life skills that they're going to need. So there's this thing called the brain in your hand, right? So let's just pretend this is your brain. And so I'm going to forget what all of these things are, but let's just pretend like your thumb is where all of your emotions are, and all of your logic, like your prefrontal cortex, I don't know, forget the technical terms, but all of your logic is in your fingers, right? So when your brain sits right there, is in a logical state, right? Your emotions are kind of tucked under your logic, and you can hold a conversation. I'm in a very logical state right now. My emotions are not fully exposed, right? I'm having a logical conversation. And your kid, when they're logical, you can have a good conversation. When somebody flips their lid and all the emotions are exposed, right? And then the other person flips their lid, nothing is going to get accomplished in this moment when you're only talking from these raging emotions, because you're like, listen to me. And they're like, I don't want to listen to you. Nothing is going to get done. I have gotten my kids very used to me saying to them, I'm really emotional. I'm not going to say anything good right now. I'm going to walk away. I love you, and I'm going to walk away. And then walk away. And the first time I did it, my daughter was like, just happened. Like we were arguing and mom just left. And she came to me, she's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm very emotional. I'm not going to say anything nice right now. I need to walk away. When I'm calm and you're calm, we're going to get back together and work through this. And she was like, oh, okay. And it was totally different. But I did. I walked away and I gave myself whatever amount of time. And I went from this stage to this stage and gave her the time to get back into a logical mode. And then we got together and we worked through some of these connections, right? I was able to understand, put myself in her shoes. I was able to be encouraging. I was able to focus on solutions with her. because the emotions were not there. So a piece of advice that I would give you, right? And you do what you got to do with your family. But when you're like, go walk away. Go, like, everyone retreat to their corners of the room. Give yourself 5 minutes. When I do these workshops for younger kids, we talk about a positive timeout space. Like, just go to your positive timeout space. Mommy's going to go to mine. I'm going to grab a book. You know, whatever else is going to make you feel good. Just go hang out. Let's reconnect in a little while. And then when we reconnect and we're logical, we can come to solutions. So it is very easy to get caught up in that emotion. But what do you think you're teaching your child when you walk away in this emotional state? But talking about the communication, right? I did this with my son. When he was younger, we made a wheel of choice. And I was like, tell me how you want me to communicate with you when you're struggling, right? Do you want me to bother you? Do you want me to pester you? Do you want me to leave you alone? Do you want me to give you some options? What do you want me to do? So I'm going to send this to you and talk to your teens. Let them know, hey, I'm doing this class. We're talking about communication. These are the things that I think I can, this is how I communicate with you or can communicate with you. Tell me which ones are working for you, right? And I actually saw this in play on a video, and some kids, it was like, yeah, don't give me lectures and let your child make decisions, right? Do you want me to lecture you? No more lectures, Mom. Okay, make it short and sweet. Yes. Don't talk down to me. Yes. Right? Like, don't do that. Listen to us. Don't talk over us. Right? Don't repeat yourself. I am so historically good at repeating myself. This one is so super important. If as teens, they have the guts to tell us what they did wrong, don't get mad and don't overreact. So when they do have the courage to tell us something, like, be empathetic, be curious, be sympathetic, find solutions together, all of those things. Don't pry or give them third degree. Don't yell from a different room and expect them to come running. I do this all the time. Don't try to make them feel guilty for things. Don't make promises we can't keep. All right. Oh, I don't even know what this says. Don't compare us with our siblings. Be careful with that. And don't talk to our friends about us. All right. So talk to your kids. See which one of these resonates with them, which ones they're okay with, which ones they're not. You're going to learn a lot about the communication that you have with your children.